manipulation. Yesterday, we have covered the initial environment setups and basics. Today, we are going to continue from there, right? So let me, invite people who are joining us on our social links, social stream links like YouTube to join us live on our Zoom link. The link to the Zoom session is there on the chat. Great. So, yeah, thanks Raja, thanks Vishnu for joining in. So you can see the Zoom link is there in the chat. Great. Okay. So the people who are joining us for the first time, let me explain the structure of the program. So every day we are going to go live for 15 minutes regarding this SQL topic. And this will also cover how this is going to be useful for your data science career. Right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. So if you want to go through to yesterday's lecture also, the link to that is shared. So let me first share the link of practice session here, right? So I have also shared it on Zoom. I have also shared it on our social channels, right? So you can click the link there and directly open the practice notes, right? So yesterday we have covered the environment setup. Yes. Thank you, Nayat, for joining. Hey Chaitali, nice to see you. Great. So yeah, so I would request if Chaitali, because if it's first time you are joining, if you've gone through yesterday's session, you might have to install the MySQL Workbench that we have told. But if you open the link that I've shared, let me share it once again. I've just shared this link. Now you can see that within this link, there is link to previous sessions notes. You can go there, open that, and from there install these two tools that are required for executing SQL, right? So if at all you want to see yesterday's session, you can use this link to go through yesterday's session also, right? So if you've installed it, well and good. If not, you can go through the session and we can understand it, how to go about it, right? So if you're not able to click the link, go ahead, copy paste it in a new tab. So yesterday, what we have done is we have gone through the SQL Workbench. So let me bring my SQL Workbench. So I'm sharing my screen. So all the session notes will be available on the link that I have shared, right? So this is how the SQL Workbench looks like. And we also answered how SQL could be useful in your data science career. This is another skill set that you will have. You can use this to work on many of the data cleaning, data management operations, and which will be taken as an input to your Python libraries also. So you can integrate between SQL and Python. We'll cover about that as we proceed forward. But today we are going to learn a few basic commands of SQL, right? So we have created, once you install the community server edition yesterday, as we have shown, you can see that this will automatically get created. It will ask you to create a password. So I have created mine. So you can go through that yesterday's session. You can just log in. It's just for you to access your workbench. Now, once you do that, yesterday what we have done, we have created a table called college students. And in that, so we have created a database called college students. In that, we have created a table called student_info, right? So in here, we have created a few columns, right? So which was student ID, name, email, and enrollment, right? So this is what we have done yesterday. The queries for the same and the link for yesterday's session are there in the practice link. Hey Irfan, thanks for joining. Let me share today's practice link with you. Just share. Now, today, what we are going to do first is we are going to do a little bit manipulation change in this particular database, right? So yesterday, my device was not able to run the select query because it ran into an error. But now I'm going to run the same select star from college students, which is the name of the database, dot name of the table, students underscore info. Right. So some people might write it in this particular format, which is select star. So star is called a wildcard character. Now it will bring everything that is there in that particular table, right? So select star from college students is the name of the database, and this is the table name, right? So let me go ahead and run if it is working. Okay, let me just check what it says. Error in syntax. Yeah, so now it ran. So now you can see that select star from college students dot student underscore info brought me the two entries that we have done yesterday. We have entered in these 4 columns names, which was Aparna Singh, and her email, Bharat Kumar, and his email along with the enrollment date, right? So this is what we have covered till yesterday. Now I am going to, continue from there, right? So how many of you are clear with what we have covered till yesterday? If it is clear, type C in the chat box. Thanks, Irfan. Thanks, Chaitanya. It's great. Right. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first drop this particular database. So this is also something that I wanted to cover yesterday.
Yes. Ama.
Okay, so I request members to mute. Okay, thanks. Now, if you're able to see my screen, is my screen visible? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you. So now, if you see, now in this particular this thing. So Inayat, if it is your first class, you can go through the lecture, the link for the previous session. Should not be a problem. Yes, you can continue from there. If there's any query, you can come back tomorrow and ask, not a problem. Okay, sure. Okay, great. So now, where are we? Here. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this drop database query. So now let's just say I have 2 databases, right? So one is college students and one is students, right? Now I want to drop the students database. So drop is nothing but delete. Now what happens if you see these particular characters are in capitals, right? And when you write drop, it automatically becomes this bold blue color statement, right? So these are called clauses, right? So it is called a clause. So now this particular clause, this whole thing is the query. Now, out of that, I'm going to use this drop statement to drop the database students, right? So this is just keep in mind that this is a critical query. If you are in, if you have just joined a job, then you might have to take permissions from your seniors to run such queries, right? So I'm going to run this. Now it says the drop database students got executed. Now you can see that in my schema, that database is no longer there, right? So this is one of the manipulation, one of the queries that is there, drop database. You can even use drop table also. We're going to cover that, right? So now let's come back to our own college students database, right? So be clear that we have deleted our database name students, not our college students. Our college students is still intact, right? So how do we know that it is still intact? I'm going to select star from college students. Yeah, so my rows are returning, so it is good, right? So now in the link that I've shared, right, you can see that there is the insert into columns, right? So I'm going to share this with you, right? So we have covered insert yesterday. This is the syntax, right? Give me a second. Yeah, so now let us go into the insert statement. So I'm going to remove this statement and I'm going to insert into the syntax is name of the table. So what is our table name? The name of our table is yeah, so I would request people to put it on chat. Right? What is the name of our table that we are working on?
Student info.
Yes, thank you so much. Right. So I was expecting college students also to be an answer. Yeah, so college students is the database name. Right. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to say students info. When you double click on this, automatically that gets copied here. So you don't have to type every time. So let me show that. When you in MySQL Workbench, if you're double clicking here, it will get pasted, right? So now I'm going to say I'm removing it here and say insert into student info and columns, right? So what are our columns? If you see, we have 4 columns: student ID, name, email, enrollment, right? So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the syntax. I'm going to double click on student ID, comma, name, comma, email, comma, enrollment. So you can type it also, right? There's no harm in that. You can go ahead and type it, right? So if you're using a different environment, we are using Workbench. So this is why this is easy. Even if you're using PHP or something else also, this similar interface is there, okay? So now values is you don't have to double click anything. You can enter anything. So I'm going to enter another student. Let's say the student ID is 3. Let's say I'm going to mistake, say 7. Student ID is 7. And okay, let's say student ID is 3 only, right? So name is, I'm going to put single quotes like we did yesterday, and I'm going to write a name, right? So we are going to say Carol, okay, sorry. So then I'm going to say email carol@imail.com, and then enrollment. If I don't remember the format, I'm going to see here. Okay, year, month, and date. Right. So I'm going to say 2022. Month is, let's say, same month, and date is say 3. Okay. So let's see if I run into errors. To run any query on Workbench, you have to go ahead and click on this thunder or run icon. So, okay, so there, what happened? No database selected. Okay. So especially in Workbench, you might have to name the database also. We have given the name of the table here. So I might have to say college students dot database. So it is important to understand what are your errors, right? So one cool feature in Workbench is you can right click here and say copy response. And maybe you can just go ahead and Google it also, right? It says error code, no database selected. Select the default DB to be used by double clicking its name in the schemas list in the sidebar. So I think that is something useful, right? So I'm going to double click it and see if it is going to run without this. Yeah, it ran, right? So without, I've just double clicked here. So you see the error code was really useful, right? So if you double click it, it becomes default database, right? So you can run directly by giving the student table name, right? So the table name, right? If you have multiple working between databases, you can go ahead and always mention college students or the name of that particular database. So how many of you are clear with this? First, let me run it. I'm okay. It already ran, right? So I'm going to see how can I see. I cannot see directly from here if Carol got created. I have to go and do what? Select star from. I think I have to. I don't have this copy pasted somewhere. Yes. So I'm going to remove this. Say select star from college students, the database name dot the table name. I'm going to run it. Hey, yes, we got Carol in our column, right? In our table, right? So if it is clear till now, type C in the chat box, right? So people who are watching us on our social channels, you can use the comment section or the chat section to let us know. Thanks, Shant. Thanks, Chetali. Thanks, Inayat. Thanks, everyone. So let's go back to our workbench. Yes. So now in your table manipulation, we have understood our first insert query, right? So now what we are going to do, you can go to your link, the practice link I've provided. In there, the next one is alter table, right? So what is alter table? Now let me go ahead and paste it here. Okay. I'm going to say alter table. Now, what it is saying, I'm going to remove it. Make changes to columns, right? Thank you so much, Inayat. Seems like Inayat, you have a little experience with SQL. That's really nice to know, right? So you can just go ahead and proceed on to next levels. So now, if you see the thing that is there in capitals, yes. Yes, Inayat says yes a little bit. Okay. Now, alter table is also a clause, the whole query. So this is something that is native to SQL. So this is in caps, and wherever you write alter table, it is going to be in this particular bold and blue, right? If you're using a different interface, it could be a different color. Okay. So now I'm going to say table name. So what is our table name? Our table name is student underscore info, right? And what we are going to say, instead of saying add under, this is the syntax. I'm going to say add what column we have name, email, enrollment ID, and just say grade. Okay. I don't know. I could only think of that. So grade, and I'm going to say the data type. The data type of it is int. So I'm going to say int. Okay. So when I say int, I think it should work. If not, we'll type integer. Okay. So yes, we are going to add a new column here. Alter table is going to, this one way is to add column. I'm going to run it. Okay, it worked, right? And I did not have to give the database name here because it's a workbench thing. I double clicked and got set as default, right? So now, okay, now that I have understood this, I'm going to, copy this. Sorry, not this. Yes. I'm going to say select star from student info again, right? You do not need this, right? So to see if my column got added, right? So I have to keep this handy. So I'm going to run this. Okay, right. So we can see that the grade got created, but it says it has value null, right? So what is null? So null is a particular value which says it is empty, right? You could say that there's no value there. It is null is not equal to 0, but it is not existent, right? So like people who have joined us in our Python classes also, where there is nan in Python, something we have is nan, which is not a number. Something similar, null is also, right? So I hope this is clear. So how many are now clear with the alter table, query, right? So this is another way to manipulate your tables. If alter table is clear, type C in the chat box. Great. So people watching us on our social channels, I request you to use the chat section or the comment section. Thank you so much, Aipal. Great. Thanks, Nayat. Great. So how are you doing, Irfan? Oh, Irfan also said clear. That's nice. Okay. Okay. Now we have altered the table. Let's go with the next particular table manipulation technique that is there on your practice link, right? So people who have joined now, I'm going to share the practice link again here. I've shared the link. So you might be thinking from where I'm getting these, so you can find it there. Okay. Okay, so let me resume. Yeah. Now we are going to do delete, right? Okay, so before delete, I think what I'll do is I'll try to add a particular column, right? So if you see in your insert, I think I'll be able to insert one particular value in grade, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do before I drop anything, I'm going to say insert into table name. I'm going to say student underscore info. And here I'm going to say only column. The name of the column is grade, right? So I'm going to say grade and values. I'm going to say grade, let's say A. Okay. Now the challenge would be where, right? So do you want me to insert it all over or only in one specific place, right? So that is also something we have to mention, right? So I'm going to come here and say where the column, where one of the column, let's say student ID, right? Student underscore ID is equal to 3, right? I'm going to try this. So here the error is coming because I did not have a semicolon there, I guess, because you have to separate statements by this symbol. Okay. Now, I think I have to say grade was an integer, right? So I cannot give A. So I have to give 10. Right. So let me see if that should work. Okay. There is still a cross mark. I am going to run this. First, remove the select column. Okay. So what is the error here? We'll run and see. Okay. Yeah. So if somebody is able to identify, let us know. Great. So what it is saying, let's go ahead and read that. Copy response. Let's say you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual corresponds to. Okay. So I think it says right syntax use near where student ID equal to 3 at line 1. So I think it is asking me to use it this way, right? Give me a second. Should work. Yeah. Let me just try if I have to. Oh, sorry. I think my spelling is wrong. Okay, so no, it's correct. Right? Let me try running it again. Or maybe I should say is. Okay. Let me try that. Now try to remove 3. This. Did I spell anything wrong? Update query need to be written. Irfan, did we what? Irfan says let's use update. I think Irfan, you got it right. Update, let's say. And maybe equal to now. Okay, so I think let me just go ahead and proceed with this.
Can you share your screen?
Yes. My screen is not visible. Okay.
Yeah, not visible.
Great. Yes. Go ahead. Set. Okay. I think for update also you'd require to use alter and we have added alter. Now I'm just going to update value. Yeah, I think only thing I require is only the set condition, right? Let me go ahead and do that. Okay. Update this particular table set. Grade equal to 10, where, let's say where student ID is 3. No error, I feel. Right. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going with the update. The syntax here is set. Apparently, I did not remember the set here. Okay, so let me just go ahead and run it. Okay, so now it is executing. So the only thing that you have to note here is when you're trying to update it, you have to use set while instead of directly giving the value, how you did it in the insert query, right? So now what I'm going to do is check my table, right? I'm going to run it and see. Okay, I've hidden it. If, yeah, so where the student ID is 3, now the grade is set to 10, right? Thank you so much for your help. And people, keep a note when you are doing the update query. I'll also update this on the practice note and link, right? So where you can use set option instead of directly giving column values and write. So I remember using column values also, but once I come back with the right syntax in that particular statement, I'll also update it tomorrow. But for now, how to update any particular column is use set name of the column and equal to the value that you want to give. If it is a varchar or a text, you have to give it in single quotes. If it is not, if it is an integer, because we said grade would be an integer, you can go ahead and give it, right? So where is basically it is going to search first where student ID is 3. Okay, I got it. And then it's going to say, okay, grade has to be set to 10. So it'll set to 10 and then it's going to update it, right? So if you are clear on how to use an update query, especially I'm also clear, type C in the chat box. I would also type C.
Yeah, if you remove the where class and run it, I think all the column is going to be updated with the value 10, right?
Yes, I mean, let's go ahead and execute, no harm, because anyway, I'm going to drop that column. So if what Inayat sir, Abdul sir, you say is, if I'm going to run this, it will set all of the, values to 10. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it did not work, right? So let's read the response. It says, yeah, so you try to update a table without a where. So, and that uses a key column. So we are using a key column, which is maybe for that reason it's not working. So I suppose you might have to set where, or maybe you have to set a condition saying a wild character like star saying update it everywhere, right? So now, or maybe you can, there's another way, I guess, to do that. Instead, where student ID equal to 3, where another thing you can do is where grade equal to null, right? So if I'm going to do this, I think this should work. Or I should say, even let's see the response here. I think there's a where clause. This should safely work. Did we miss anything? Okay, so let me come to the where clause. I think Abdul will find another way to update all values of that column, right? So now we have understood update. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all the values where, yeah, thank you so much, where we have null values, right? So we are going to say select star. Okay, it's always easy to take it from here, right? So what I'm going to try to do here is try to delete these two columns where it was null. Okay. Okay. Okay, my screen is visible now. Okay. So I'm going to try to remove where it is null. Okay. Great. So let me also share the same on chat. Great. Okay, so we've learned about constraints. We have learned about all of our queries, and we'll try to learn how to delete, right? Now, the query should work this way. If you're able to see the actual, okay, my screen is not shared. Let us try to do this, right? So delete from table name where some column equal to some value, right? So now what I'm trying to do here is name of our table is student info, where I'm going to say some column. Here the column is grade equal to say null. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do here is wherever it is null, delete those particular rows, right? So I'm going to run this and see if I'm able to execute it. Okay, I think there is some issue because my where clauses are not working, which is not something that happens. Cool. So let us revisit these columns. We only delete column tomorrow, but I would ask you to go ahead and practice and also explore how to go ahead and do the same thing, right? So thanks for joining in today. I would actually have to reset up my workbench and maybe some queries if there's anything that is not properly working. Or maybe let me just try to go ahead and say, should not be the problem. No, not working. Yes. So I'm going to continue. Thanks everyone for joining in. And tomorrow we're going to just understand this one particular query, the delete query, and then continue with the next topics, right? Thank you so much for joining in and exploring more of SQL along with me. Thanks everyone. If you understood whatever has worked and whatever you were able to do till now, type U in the chat box. Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks Chetali, thanks Abdul. Great. Okay, so let's continue from here directly tomorrow. Thanks everyone. All the updates will be there on the group itself.